I'm Jorge Najera. I am the owner of Synaxis Coffee and just making coffees here in El Paso. Man, let's see. I was probably three months in business when I started working with 8Signal. Kind of had reached out because I had a lot of questions, a lot of unknowns. So I just reached out to see what they had to offer. Anything marketing, I was super just oblivious. Had no idea how to approach that, And on top of that, it was my first business, right? So how to balance that kind of thing. So knowing that 8Signal does a lot of, kind of working with systems, but also marketing, I guess meshing those together so you can get an effective workflow and things of that nature is kind of what I was really seeking to get out of that. Having, I guess, in an odd way, having a sense that I was accomplished, that I was prioritizing what needed to be prioritized. I kind of had this intuition, I guess, that I don't want to be putting too much energy and focus into things that might take away from actually growing the business, right? And so, of course, not knowing what marketing should look like, what that entails, how to approach it, was one of those really, really big questions that, at least for me, I think that if I was to get that answered, it would just kind of propel everything forward. I've worked on a lot of other coffee shops before, and something about the overly systematized, I guess, businesses or corporations just really pushed me in a whole other direction that it was just like, I was almost anti-systems. Like I just wanted things to just run, like things would just happen, people show up, they do their thing, clock in, clock out, and that's it, right? But with 8Signal, it really opened me up to like, oh shoot, if you have a system, it just kind of allows for the business to run well, for things to get done. But on top of that, it opened me up to the idea that systems aren't that bad. And I think when you have such a kind of anti approach to some things, just the fact that you open up to something, it just kind of makes you aware of a whole other reality, I guess, of the potential that there is in these things, specifically systems. With growing the business, I guess it was more so because I am just right now a sole operator, right? I'm the owner but operator of it. It was this thing of, I was very aware that it needs exposure. And also the location it's a good location, but it is a little hidden, right? But also kind of capitalizing on the fact that it's kind of like a speakeasy coffee shop, as it were. How do I leverage that to my advantage, right? Just because it's a little hidden doesn't mean it needs to be a negative thing per se, right? So for me, it was this thing of marketing and growing the business just seemed to go hand in hand. I was like, it's a small business. I'm the only one here. All I need to do is get the name out there, kind of communicate very well what it is that I'm doing, what's happening in the business, taking that and, just kind of throwing it out there in social media, and people are aware that there's a new coffee shop in town, all that kind of stuff. So I would say that the marketing and growing the business just kind of seemed to coincide, really. Like it just seemed to be one in one. So if I did marketing, the business was going to grow. And I've already seen results in it, which is kind of cool, So of course, because it's such a small operation, right? At times it did feel as though it was a little much, but it did give me this sense of, no, if I have a team, this gives me a sense of, I feel connected with them, for one. You learn how to prioritize to-dos, tasks that can be done within a week, perhaps even in a day, right? But also taking those little steps that happen from day to day, week to week, to a bigger goal, right? So kind of speaking into rocks, those kinds of things, and the vision. So it's very fractal, right? So you kind of have a big goal and a vision, which is kind of like 1, 5, 10 year mark, but also kind of trickling that down to the week to week, day to day sort of basis, right? So capitalizing on that, it just generally makes you feel as though you're actually moving forward just towards something, and it's very clear, very precise, So yeah, it just kind of gave me this sense of, if you don't have a vision and things to work towards, it's just kind of, if it doesn't become stagnant, it will feel very stagnant.
Give us a hidden talent for it.
Oh man, let's see. I can draw. I can actually make a pretty sick illustration and stuff. But I have a coffee business. So generally, I can talk to you for hours about coffee. Yeah, just anything art, anything philosophical. Like I'm just super into that kind of stuff. But yeah, coffee's kind of anything around coffee is just I can talk to you about that for hours on end.